What's up, everyone, and welcome to my podcast called The Traumatized Man. Why is it called The Traumatized Man? Because I am traumatized. This is a podcast where we're going to discuss this fatherless epidemic happening to our country. I am personally a product of that. That's one of the reasons I'm traumatized is I grew up without a healthy father in my life. And when I say healthy, I mean someone who is balanced physically, spiritually, mentally, psychologically, someone who comes with the foundation of family and is intentionally doing things to raise his son, teaching his son the foundations of manhood. That's what I think we're missing in this country. I think that these next few generations coming up could potentially take this country completely downhill. And the reason I believe that is because it takes a certain drive, it takes a certain work ethic, it takes a certain understanding of what men need to get done in order to keep the machine moving. And if we have lost that, if we have a bunch of emasculated males running around, used to being coddled, used to getting their way, used to focusing on their needs, their pleasures, we're in trouble. That's the bottom line. And it has, for me, it has nothing to do with what women are doing or not doing. This particular podcast is not parenting advice. It's not. I am not advising anyone on how to raise their kids. I wouldn't do that. Like I said, I'm an uneducated, GED educated person. I wouldn't attempt to advise you on how to raise your children. This is a podcast where we're going to focus on 18 and above. And I know in one of my other videos I said 16 and above. I believe 16 and above is a young man. And I'm directly speaking to these young adult men. It's my goal. And hopefully give them some advice, some understanding, some foundational pillars for manhood that helps them drive forward and be successful in their life in a secure, confident way, in a way that's beneficial to society, in a way that's beneficial to their families. Not a mooch, not a leech, not a wannabe alpha controlling everything, someone with anger issues, someone with tons of insecurities. I'm talking about strong, confident men ready to step up because our country is hurting. In the United States, about 1 in 4 children live in fatherless homes. It is the highest in the world. Approximately 18.3 million children in the U.S. live without a father in the home. About 80% of single parent homes are led by single mothers. Fatherless families are 4 times more likely to raise children in poverty. Fatherless children are more likely to drop out of high school and have emotional and behavioral problems. 71% of high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. 85% of youths in prison come from fatherless homes. 39% of students in grades 1 through 12 live in homes absent their biological fathers. And it varies by race, specifically at the high level, the 3 top races of this country. Black people are 57% of fatherless children. Hispanic people are 31% fatherless children. White people are 21%. And I'm sure these numbers are growing. I believe that it is our responsibility, if we consider ourselves men, moral men, intellectual men, masculine men, to help curve this thing that's going. I think it's going to make our country better to have real men running around. Not toxic men or masculine men. Toxic masculine men is the big attack. Not all masculinity is toxic, but all males have masculinity. And we have to train them to harness that masculinity, harness that energy. It's absolutely our responsibilities. And with no fathers in the home, healthy fathers, psychologically, physically, spiritually, feel confident in how they stand in the world, we got issues. So my whole goal behind this podcast is my mission, if you will, would be to help develop the moral, intellectual, masculine man. And I hope to do that by sharing the pillars of manhood, as I call them, to young men, to maybe young men who have never thought about these things, these type of things, or just thought of them as a cliche, a saying, where they never really thought about putting it into practice. They maybe never realized it could be a reality for them. Young men that today feel trapped in their own reality. Why? Why are you trapped? Why aren't you excelling in life? The mindset, something that's put in every man, every male, I'm sure females as well, to grow. The grass grows, the trees grow, babies grow. Why would we stay stagnant in our current state of mind? Why would we stay stagnant in our physical surroundings? We should want to grow. We should want to be better. That's the imprint that we leave behind, the legacy that we leave behind. I think every man should want to do that. Leave a legacy. And it doesn't matter how bad you've screwed up. You can reinvent yourself all the time. I've done it multiple times in my life, and I'd love to talk about it on this podcast. So my goal is to establish the pillars of manhood, as I call them. And they're very basic, very simplistic. Number one is work. A man has to work. His responsibility is to provide. Number two, a man must respect authority. Not respect everybody, respect authority. A man must know when authority is in place. That's how you grow. You have to be a student in order to grow to be a master. You must be a student. In order to be a student, you must respect authority. So whoever that authority, that mentor you may set in your life, it's instrumental to respect authority because it implies self-discipline. It requires self-discipline. And self-discipline is the only thing that can make you successful. And the last pillar, I say walk with integrity. Be a man of your word. Do what you say you're going to do and do it to the best of your ability. To me, that's integrity. And I want this podcast to be a benefit, a resource to you and to single mothers who may have an 18-year-old sitting at home, a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old. I'm merely talking about what young men have lacked in terms of parenting from the father perspective. What that does to a young man. How it traumatizes a young man. That's why I call this podcast The Traumatized Man. And I want to help young men do the things, implement the things that they need to implement in their lives in order to be successful in whatever realm that is. Spiritual success, physical success. We're going to get into that in the future, for sure. It's something I enjoy a lot and could help people with. I've made great strides in myself. I've let myself go before to the point where it was uncontrollable, and I've been able to bring myself back and bring balance back to my life physically. I would be happy to share that, to help young men struggling with their weight, struggling with the self-discipline of how to get there. But that self-discipline, that's the key. That's where work comes in. It takes self-discipline to work. You have to respect authority. You have to have self-discipline to respect authority. And to walk with integrity, it takes discipline. And that's what I want to kind of segue into on this podcast is I want to talk about self-discipline. What does that look like? Why is it so instrumental? Is it so important for you to learn this particular skill? It's a life skill, by the way. It's a personal life skill. Not everybody has self-discipline. That's why people are overweight. That's why people smoke. That's why people drink, etc., etc. And I've been the victim of all those bad choices, by the way. So I don't judge anybody. I've exercised that lack of self-discipline. But I've also proved that I can take those areas of my life and apply discipline to them and drastically change that area of my life. Whether that is weight, whether that is drinking alcohol, whether that is whatever. It's instrumental to your success. And for a lot of young men who grew up without a father and grew up in a home with a good mother, a hardworking mother, a mother doing her best to try to live her life and raise her children the best way she possibly knows how. Because a boy requires specific things and a girl requires specific things as a boy. And I seen what I lacked. And I seen how long it took me to develop these things, to grow in these areas. And I look back at my life, and sometimes I look back and say, if I would have just had that one piece of knowledge or that one piece of encouragement or that somebody to drive me towards the self-discipline side of things, I could have been so much further in my life. I'm happy and I'm glad that I've been through the journey that I've been on to get myself to where I'm at, just emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, because I definitely have learned. But I want to put together things that is a resource for other young men. Knowledge, wisdom, life experiences, to say, hey, there it is. There's your encouragement. Apply self-discipline. There's no excuses. You can't point the finger. Well, you don't know my life. Well, you don't know mine either. You don't know what other people had to crawl out of and not complain about what they crawled out of, barely survived out of. So we can't use that excuse. I had the same chip on my shoulder. Oh, my mom died. Anybody said anything about my mom, I would blow up. The lack of self-control. Because I was so hurt. I was so angry. And it took over. In terms of self-discipline, this is the one area that if I had to tell a young person that didn't have a father growing up, didn't have a whole lot of structure, didn't have a whole lot of advice, maybe grew up in poverty, maybe abuse, maybe drugs and alcohol, whatever, that is growing up, figuring his way through life, I would have to say that this is the one area that every young man needs driven into them at a young age. It will make you successful, and that's the ability to control yourself. Control your eating, control the desires of laziness, control the desires of procrastination because of laziness, control your anger, control your pride, control your lust. Control. That's what makes a man. A man who can control his anger, control his emotions, can conquer an army. Self-control. Whether you decide every single day at 3 o'clock, I'm going to work out and lift weights. Every day. 5 days. Give yourself some break days for recovery. And nothing's going to stop me. This is what I'm going to do. Well, I don't feel good. I'm tired. Doesn't matter. I'm going to do it. You have to do it. Rain, sleet, shine. You have to do it. Self-discipline. When you are able to implement that on a consistent basis, like 6 months, a year, your results speak for themselves. Especially if you did it 100% dedicated. I always say this. I saw this somewhere else, actually. The gym gives you back whatever you give to it. 50%, you get 50% back. 20%, you get 20% back. But if you give the gym 100%, the gym will give you back 100%. And it really has nothing to do with the gym. It has to do with you. And the more I thought about this, the more I said to myself, okay, how do we lay it out? How do we bring a lesson learning type discussion to the table to talk about self-discipline? And I did some research and I stumbled upon samurai. I admire the samurais. Anyways, I stumbled upon something called the 21 Principles of Dokido, the Way of Walking Alone, by a samurai named Miyamoto Musashi. So Miyamoto Musashi was a famous samurai who is well known to have documented 60 plus sword fights, and won, obviously. Samurai sword fights, so probably to the death, I would assume. It was well known between 1584 and 1645. And at the end of his life, he wrote this, and it's the 21 Principles. But it's basically the principles that he's finalized and he's developed Throughout his life, he's practiced and developed to be this warrior, to be this person that has the ability to win 60 plus sword fights and survive. Now, I don't necessarily admire the samurais for all the sword fights and the killings, although maybe necessary at times. I admire them for their discipline, because it truly is the essence of manhood. Self-discipline. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not. You can reinvent yourself and you can accomplish many things. But anyways, I thought to myself, what I'm going to do is basically read through these 21 principles that he wrote out at the end of his life before he died. I read through these multiple times. I watched some videos on them, and they're fabulous. There's no way I could have said that better myself. These samurai, they seem to be real scholars in my opinion. They seem to be philosophers. The way of walking alone. So I'm going to run through these 21 disciplines, and what I want to do is just read them off one by one without stopping. And if I have time at the end here, I will go back and start going over them. But if not, the next podcast, what I'd like to do is start a series of breaking down the 21 principles by Miyamoto Musashi, and just talk about how that applies to just self-discipline and even life. There's so many good life advice, wisdom in these, so I'd like to do that. All right. The Way of Walking Alone by Miyamoto Musashi. Accept everything just the way it is. Life flows like water. Resist it and you will be swept away. The world unfolds as it will, and no one must resist the natural flow. To fight against reality is to weaken oneself. Acceptance is the first step toward mastery of your own destiny. Number 2, do not seek pleasure for its own sake. The pursuit of pleasure distracts from the path of discipline. True fulfillment comes from mastering the self, not indulging in temporary desires. Seek instead joy found in the process of becoming stronger. A warrior's path is one of balance, not excess. Number 3, do not, under any circumstances, depend on partial feeling. Half-heartedness is the enemy of progress. Commit fully to your purpose. Trust in incomplete feelings leads to uncertain action. Let your decisions arise from the calm, whole mind. Clarity comes when you embrace the entirety of your experience. Number 4, think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Do not burden yourself with excess self-regard. Focus instead on understanding the world around you. A humble heart opens the mind of greater truths. To grasp the world's complexities, one must first relinquish the burden of self-importance. Number 5, be detached from desire your whole life long. Desire is a chain that binds the spirit. To walk freely, one must cast off its weight. Liberation lies in prioritizing purpose over personal cravings. In detachment, find the strength to pursue your path without distraction. Number 6, do not regret what you have done. Regret weakens the present by chaining you to the past. Face forward, for the past cannot be changed, but the future can. Every misstep is an opportunity for growing. Each step taken is part of your journey. Embrace it fully. Number 7, never be jealous. Jealousy stems from insecurity and clouds the spirit. Be content with your own path, for it's yours alone to walk. Instead of envying others, learn from them. Their success can be a guide, not a curse. Appreciate the success of others as the source of inspiration, not resentment. Number 8, never let yourself be saddened by separation. Separation is a natural part of life's journey. The warrior moves forward, carrying no sorrow for what is left behind. Each parting paves the way for new encounters and experiences. Embrace the lessons learned from those you lose. They strengthen your resolve. Each departure creates space for new beginnings. Number 9. Resentment and complaint are appropriate neither for oneself nor others. Resentment poisons the mind and hinders clear thought. A warrior must rise against petty grievances. True strength lies in letting go and focusing on what truly matters. Release your grievance and you will find strength. Number 10. Do not let yourself be guided by the feeling of lust or love. Love and lust can obscure judgment and weaken the spirit. Let your path be directed by reason, not fleeting emotions. The heart must not overshadow the clarity of the mind. Maintain a disciplined mind to discern true affection from fleeting desire. Love, cultivated wisely, can become a source of strength. Number 11. In all things, have no preferences. Preferences lead to attachments, and attachments lead to suffering. Walk your path without bias, and you will see clearly. Freedom comes from viewing each moment as it is. Without judgment, embrace indifferences allows you to respond to life's challenges without hesitation. A mind unshackled by preference is free to explore all avenues. Number 12. Be indifferent to where you live. Whether in a castle or a hut, a warrior's mind remains unchanged. Do not let your surroundings dictate your spirit. Do not let yourself be reliant nor take advantage of luxuries. Your true home is where your purpose resides. Cultivate an inner house that no external circumstance can disrupt and can be withered by no storm. Number 13. Do not pursue the taste of good food. Nourish the body as necessary, but do not seek excess. True substance arrives from the strength you build through discipline. Remember, the warrior's diet is one that fuels the spirit and body alike. Number 14. Do not hold on to possessions you no longer need. Possessions are a burden that slow your progress. Keep only what is essential and let the rest fall away. A clear space allows for a clear mind. The act of letting go opens the door for new opportunities and growth. A true warrior values utility over sentimentality. Simplify your life to sharpen your focus and enhance your practice. Number 15. Do not act following customary beliefs. Tradition and times will bind you to truths. Act only according to what is right, not what is customary. Trust your intuition and the wisdom you gain from experience. Walk your path based on personal conviction rather than societal expectation. Number 16. Do not collect weapons or practice with weapons beyond what is useful. A sword is but a tool in the hands of a warrior. Beyond necessity, additional weapons are burdens. Focus your energy on honing your skills with the tools that truly serve you. Mastery comes from simplicity and focus rather than accumulation. Number 17. Do not fear death. Death is inevitable for all, so fearing it serves no purpose. Instead, live fully and without hesitation. Embrace each day as a gift, knowing it may be your last. Understand that in acceptance of death, you will find freedom to live freely. Number 18. Do not seek to possess either goods or fiefs for your old age. The future is uncertain, and preparing for it only distracts from the present. A warrior lives in the now. Invest your energy in experiences and wisdom, not material wealth. What you gather in life is not as valuable as what you learn along the way and pass down to those who follow in your footsteps. Number 19, respect Buddha and the gods without counting on their help. Honor the divine, but do not rely on them to shape your fate, for they owe you no gift nor reward. Your path is yours to undertake through your own actions. A warrior must stand firm in their own strength and choices. True respect lies in embodying the principles they represent through your actions. Number 20, you may abandon your own body, but you must preserve your honor. Your body is transient, but your honor endures beyond death. Let your honor be your highest aim. In the end, it is the legacy of your integrity that will endure. A warrior's true strength is measured not by their physical prowess, but by the respect they earn. And number 21, never stray away from the way. The path of the warrior is sacred, committed, and demands steadfast dedication. Straying from this path leads to confusion and disarray, ultimately compromising your honor and purpose. Consistency in your actions and thoughts is essential for maintaining the integrity of your journey. In moments of uncertainty, return to the fundamental principles that guide you, for they serve as your compass through life's challenges. Distractions abound, but clarity comes from commitment. Trust in your training and intuition to guide you. So good. I love it. That took a little bit longer than I thought, but it is so good. And I look forward to breaking those down. I'd love to break them down one by one and hopefully have a discussion of how do you apply this in your life practically. Like, what are the actual physical things that you can do on a day-to-day basis to learn to develop self-discipline and learn to conquer any area of your life. Conquer it. Be successful. That's what I want to throw out there. So we're going to be breaking these down, at least from my perspective. Hopefully it's helpful to you. And continue on this journey of fathering the fatherless, helping us young men who have no father to guide us, except for the Heavenly Father. Thank you so much for listening, guys. I appreciate you, and God bless.